After the big news this week of WAU deciding they're going to bat for the other team next year, I've decided to go through the top 5 liveries of HRT over the years. On some of these previous top 5 videos, I've been accused of, stirring the pot or whatever, creating controversy. These are my opinions. You are allowed to have a different opinion to me. It's only what I think. I'm not deliberately trying to stir controversy. I don't think this one's going to be a super controversial one, but my next top 5 video might be a little bit more controversial. But stay tuned for that one. It is a HRT special week due to the announcement, but let's get stuck into it. In number 5 position, we have got the 2009 VE Commodore. This was the final Dayglow one before they went more for that darker kind of look over the next kind of 8 years of them being the factory squad. And this one was the last time that they were a genuine championship contender. We had, Garth Tander and Will Davison were the drivers for the year. It was Will's first year at the team. They did finish 2nd and 3rd in the championship. All of that kind of leading to, this being a bit more memorable livery than the others. And of course, they did the double in the endurance races, taking out the Phillip Island 500 and the Bathurst 1000. So this one, it was probably the last time that the Holden Racing team was genuinely competitive. Coming in at number 4, we have got the original 1990 VL Walkinshaw Commodore livery. The original, and some still say the best, when they've done some of the, probably the 2010 retro livery there, that was spectacular. This one was so good. It did stick around from 89 to 1995. It was essentially the same all the way through. I'll focus on the 1990 car because, of course, they did go out and win Bathurst that year. Was the first true year of them being the HRT, and of course, Win Percy, Alan Grice winning Bathurst there, and also the team's first win. This is definitely, this livery, you just automatically think HRT when you see it. Coming in at number 3 is the 2006 VZ Commodore. This livery was a slow evolution from kind of 2003, where they started this look, all the way to peak of this livery, in my opinion, in 2006. It was pretty much the same as the 2005 livery, except they added some black into the lion's head, just a bit of shading in there. It looked like the livery was fully mature at that point, before they went on to change it quite a lot for the VE the next year. Unfortunately, this wasn't a super successful year, especially in this period of HRT. Todd Kelly was 6th in the points, and Scaife was a very, very lowly for him, 16th in the points. I think that was his second worst championship result ever, or definitely other than, maybe a couple of times in those very early years before, he came on as a proper Nissan driver, I suppose. That was probably the worst he ever did in the championship. There was a little bit of highlights with this livery, though, I suppose. They had that interesting driver shuffle, which we did get to see Scaife and Tander team up for the endurance races. They were undoubtedly the fastest car that year. They were on a different kind of planet. It was, a bit like what Shane Van Gisbergen is doing now. They were just, but unfortunately, although pole position for both endurance events, they didn't finish either of the races, so they no silverware to show for that speed. Obviously, they had the little bit of the Brock tribute with the black bonnet for Bathurst as well. It was just a bit of a shame that, for all that speed and everything, no real results to show for how good this car looked. In second position, we've got the 1996 VR Commodore. This is special for a number of reasons. I think this one really started that trend of where, you know, we have a special livery for the car each year, even though we haven't. Previously, it was only kind of when there was a major sponsor change that people really switched up the liveries. This was the first time where we saw a livery special for the year, and then the next year something different came along. So that's where that really partly because it was such a departure from what we'd grown, and then also just the results during the year just made this one really special. Craig Lowndes made his championship debut, obviously went on to win the championship, Sandown and Bathurst, Greg Murphy joining in with him for those endurance races. Brocky also, he was my hero back in the day. He did get to take out a round win at Oran Park. He finished fourth in the championship as well, so both cars were up the front most of the year, and then obviously Greg Murphy took over the number one car by then. Went over to New Zealand and won the 2-race series over there. So not only was this, at the time, it was a spectacular livery because it was just totally, you know, it was a departure from what everyone was doing at the time. And then just the pure dominating kind of results for the whole year. This one will always be remembered for the HRT fans. And in number one position, we've got the 2002 VX Commodore. I like to think this is probably like peak Scaife powers, peak, you know, they really hit the strides there as being the whole Team Red thing. It was only a little bit of a shift from the 2001 livery. It was very, very similar, other than they changed the kind of the checkered flag across the rear quarter panel from being red and white the previous year to being black and white, which I thought it just looked a bit more mature and added a little bit of colour to it. Colour, black's not a colour, people, but it just added a little bit of interest. It was probably touching on a bit too much red, the 2001 livery, and of course this was the year Scaife absolutely dominated the championship. He scored 40% more points than Greg Murphy, who finished in second position. It was just, you know, daylight in second place. Teammate Jason Bright finished fourth in the championship. Ridiculously, when you look back at it now, between the two of them, they actually took out the first 8 rounds of the championship. Yeah, between the two of them, just total domination. The first failure for them was a DNF at the Queensland 500. This kind of led them to splitting up the driver lineup for Bathurst, which saw Scaife and Jim Richards take out the win, and Brighton Mazira paired up together for third position as well. So they'd nearly, you know, they'd nearly locked out the podium at Bathurst there, and also Scaife was driving the Golden Child at that time. So yeah, just this is just peak Scaife, peak HRT. It just brings back great memories for, you know, those who, I'm sure there'll be some Ford fans who absolutely hate this car. But yeah, this was just, to me, it just kind of encapsulated, you know, everything peak HRT back in those days. So that's my number one livery. So that's my top 5 HRT liveries. Down in the comments, let me know, do you agree, disagree? Which ones should have been included? If, you know, if you think some others should have been included. Please note, I did not take into account any of the special liveries because there was some really good ones over the years there. But yeah, just going for the full season liveries in this one. And I do plan on probably covering all teams along the way with this one. HRT is a good one to start with, obviously, with the big announcement this week that Walkinshaws are going to Ford for next year. A good time to look back on some of the history of the team. But until next time, I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later.